everyone, and welcome back. We have a beautiful rainy spring day here today, and me personally, I'm in my luteal phase, so I'm feeling just a little tender, a little bit sore, a little bit moody. Perfect to go with this weather. But it also means that I need to just take a really nice, chill and mellow, relaxing practice today. So I'd like to invite you to put on your comfiest clothes, grab a cushion from your couch, a large pillow, or a bolster, a couple of blocks on a strap, and meet me on your mat. We're just going to be taking it nice and slow today. The oils in the diffuser, we have sweet marjoram, juniper berry, orange, and vanilla. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to have you start reclined back flat on your mat. Have your bolster available nearby. Blocks can be at the top of the mat, but also have your strap within grabbing distance because we will be stretching out our legs today. So come back and recline flat and allow yourself to get comfortable. If you want to offer yourself a little bit of support, maybe the bolster or cushion under your knees or under the spine, it's totally up to you. I want you to feel comfortable because we're really all just about giving into the practice today. Giving in to what our bodies need. So this is almost a yin, almost a restorative, but we are going to work a little bit because I know you want to feel some of that muscle strength turn on. So for now, just come down flat on the back and release. Feel the tension and weight come out of the shoulders and the neck. And as the belly relaxes, the spine begins melting down into the mat. The eyes can soften or close. And just notice how the body feels. Noticing how it feels supported either through your props or through the mat itself. And begin to tune in with the breath. Feeling the gentle rise and fall, your natural rhythm of breathing. Where do you feel the breath within the body? How is it coming and going? And then slowly start taking control over your breath. Deepening the inhales and extending through the exhales. And just continue to observe. Where can you feel the inhale? All of that oxygen traveling down through the blood, maybe reaching into the fingers and toes. And as you release the breath, what relaxes first? Where do you feel the tension release from? Continuing to breathe deeply. Allow the face and the jaw to relax. We'll take 5 more of these deep breaths before coming back to the natural pace. And connecting slowly again with your own breath. Start to wiggle out the toes and the fingers. Rock the head from side to side. Maybe roll out through the wrists and the ankles. Just bringing slow, gentle movement into the joints. And if you happen to be up on a bolster or a pillow, I invite you to gently roll to one side, move it out from under, and come to lie back flat on the mat. I'm going to join you down here now. Exhale, float the knees to the chest, wrap the arms around the legs, and just take a moment here, really experience the sensation of drawing the legs in. Really see how that feels across the muscles of the back, into the shoulders. Trying not to lift the tailbone off, but keeping the whole length of the spine flat to the mat. Relax the shoulder blades down and back. Relax the hips open so the legs will slightly come apart. And breathe. Slowly begin rocking from side to side. And then we'll come in for a twist, come back through center, let the arms fall open. We'll take a deep breath in. Exhale, knees to the left. As the knees come down, maybe we have a block under or between the legs. Really ground down through that right shoulder. And we can do this simply by turning the head to the right if it feels okay with the neck. And then allow the legs to just release and let go. We're not straining to stack the knees. That's where the block can come in handy for some support here. We just want to let go, open up the spine, and breathe. Three more big breaths here. Move the knees through center with an inhale. And exhale to the right side, nice and gentle. Moving the block if you need it, allowing the legs to settle down, and then grounding that left shoulder, maybe looking to the right, and release. Two more breaths. Inhale, knees coming through center. And planting the right foot, we'll take the left ankle to the right knee. Gently press that left knee open to the side. Foot is flexed. So we're opening up space into the hip. Then release your hands to the side. We're going to be moving the legs back and forth, guiding with the planted right foot. So on an exhale, roll to the baby toe side of that right foot, bringing the left foot closer to the floor. It does not have to reach. Inhale, flatten the right foot to the mat, nice and slow. And exhale, roll to the big toe side of that right foot, bringing the left knee closer to the floor. Nice, gentle twisting motion for the low back, the sacral spine. Guiding with the right foot. Moving with the breath. One more time to each side. And as we bring the legs back into center, we'll take the hands around the right thigh and pick up that right foot, drawing the legs into the chest, deepening the stretch into the left hip. Take a moment here and just shift your weight a little from side to side until you feel that whole nice flat space of the low back evenly grounded into the mat. And as we begin to tuck the legs a little closer, you can start to gently engage the core, so gently flattening the low belly. Relax the shoulders and flex both feet. Two more big breaths. Inhale. Exhale, right foot down, followed by the left. Bring the knees together and heel toe the feet out to the long edges of the mat. Sink that low back down. And just take a couple of breaths here. Noticing sensation within the legs, within the hips. And slowly heel toe the feet back into center. And take the right ankle to the left knee, flexing the foot and opening the knee to the side using your hand. As we release the hands, we'll begin our little back and forth movement. We'll roll to the baby toe edge of the left foot. Inhale for center. Exhale, roll to the big toe side. And just beginning to move gently back and forth. One more time to each side. As we make our way back to center, hands come around the left thigh, bringing the legs into the chest, feet flexed, and really enjoy that flatness of the low back here. Shift the weight gently from side to side until both sides feel even. Relax the upper body and breathe. Very gentle engagement into the low belly. We're going to be coming into a full pigeon later in the class. And if that doesn't resonate with you today, we can always come back to this position. One more breath in. Exhale, left foot down, followed by the right. Bring the knees together and heel toe the feet out to the long edges of the mat. Relax the spine and breathe. Find your strap and extend the left leg on the mat. We'll float the right foot into the chest, and the strap can go around the ball of the right foot. Before we extend the right leg, I want you to think about engaging through the left. So find the length down and out. Left foot is flexed. And then gently, slowly begin extending that right leg. I want you to really focus on the low back connection that we've been making. So finding that flatness of the low back, the evenness of the weight between the left and right sides. And then focusing on bringing length and stretch in through that right leg. These are not only wonderful hamstring stretches, but really great for those low back muscles as well. So really just ease your way into the stretch. Take your time with it and really breathe. Notice where you may be clenching, sometimes into the hip or the glute, and see if you can soften. Maybe not release all the way, but just bring a little bit of softness. And that might open up a little more space for you to move deeper into the stretch. And maybe that tension is in the upper body or the face. And again, just beginning to soften or acknowledge these areas sometimes makes the biggest difference. We'll take the strap in the right hand close to the toes. Keep your left hip grounded down as we open the leg out to the side, gently, slowly. Again, thinking about this connection of the low back, feeling a big opening into the hip, and then also feeling the support of the left hip here as we keep that side grounding down. You're going to feel those outer left hip muscles turn on as well. On an inhale, move the leg through center, take the strap in the left hand, and we're going to take the leg across our opposite side body. Try to keep the right shoulder grounded down. And again, this is a slow stretch today. We're not in a rush. Gently releasing to the side. Now that the low back is lifted, think about the stretch we're feeling here. Think about the space that exists behind these back muscles now. And a slight engagement from the belly. Inhale, move through center. Lengthen back out here. Feel the low back press down. Take 2 big breaths. Inhale, remove the strap from the foot. Exhale, float it all the way down. Nice and slow. Using control. Once it reaches the mat, soften everything. Take a breath. And really focusing on this difference in maybe length or sensation between the left and right legs. And not just maybe the length down towards the feet, but also the length here in the pelvis and into the hips. And if you don't feel any difference at all, that's totally fine. Slowly bring the left knee into the chest. Ball goes around the strap goes around the ball of the left foot. And before we extend up, turn that right leg on, pushing out and down. Foot is flexed. Feel the low back flat to the floor here, and then gently, slowly begin to extend that left leg. Finding that deep stretch. And relax, give yourself into it and breathe. Taking the strap in the left hand, we'll keep that right hip grounded, slowly opening to the side. Inhale through center, strap comes into the right hand. And again, slowly moving to the opposite side. Try to keep the left shoulder grounded down. And just release yourself. Give into the stretch. Inhale once again to center. We'll lengthen back out. Plug the left hip down. Really focusing on the low back here. 2 more big breaths. Inhale, remove the strap. Exhale, float all the way down, using control, but moving nice and slow. Once the foot reaches the mat, soften everything and breathe. Feel and observe any sensation within the low body. Slowly roll to one side, doesn't matter which. And using an inhale, push yourself up to a seated position. We'll come to an easy seat, whether you're up on the knees or one leg crossed in front of the other. Slowly roll out through the shoulders, starting in one direction. And reversing. And then alternating. And reversing. And finding stillness. We're going to take the hands to the knees and we're just going to be circling around the pelvis a few times. So start by pulling the shoulders to one side. Using an inhale, round and roll yourself forward. Pushing the shoulders to the opposite side, and then exhale, pull the navel in as we round the spine back. Slow, mindful movement here, circling up and around the hips. As we come to the side again, we'll switch direction. Breathe in here and then exhale, rounding back. As we come forward, breathing in. Even out your weight, lift the heart. Exhale, rounding back, seated cat. Inhale, seated cow. Exhale, back. One more time, forward. And rounding back. Inhale, come through center. We're going to bring the legs out in front. Give them a nice little wiggle. And I'm going to bring the bolster on my knees, but you can also do this with a block. Whatever position you'd like, maybe starting here or here. We're going to be relaxing ourselves into a forward fold. First things first, though, we want to move any flesh of the bottom out of the way. This is going to give us a big advantage coming down because our tailbone is already reaching back. And that way, when we extend forward, we can think about length in the spine rather than collapsing down and compromising all that good stretching we just did for the low back. So I'm going to take my bolster on top of my legs here. And again, we can do this with a block or a pillow. Flex the feet and maybe have a very soft bend to the knees if that feels better for you, but you can have the legs straight. On an inhale, we'll reach the arms up. Exhale, extend yourself forward. If you have a pillow here, the ribs or belly will begin touching the pillow or bolster. And if you're using a block, we're going to reach forward enough so that maybe we bring the, elbows down to the block, wherever that might be. Try not to rest it directly on top of the kneecaps. If you have the pillow here, bring the arms down to rest. And you'll notice I'm not collapsing myself down just yet. I'm using the weight of the prop and my body to start bringing length to the legs. I'm going to move my hips back just a little bit more even. And if you're having a hard time just resting the hands, you can take your strap around the balls of the feet so you have something just gently to hold on to. Sometimes it's helpful to have the hands engaged to help the rest of the body relax. And I like having this big bolster here as a prop because it's preventing me from collapsing my spine down, having this gentle support within my mid-body. If it's within the practice, you can reach for the feet. We're going to be spending about 7 big breaths here. And I rather than just staying in one spot and breathing, unless that feels really fantastic to you, I do want you to try to work your way into a little more length, a little more depth, but very gently. Minuscule little micro movements here. So maybe the crown of the head lengthens forward a little, think nose to toes. And then maybe you deepen your fold ever so slightly. Again, we're not collapsing down. We're just gently beginning to rest the torso down. You notice my shoulders are coming forward a little bit. And I don't have much more room to fold. So again, these movements are minuscule. Two more big breaths. Release the hands or the strap. And on an inhale, keep the head hanging ever so slightly. We'll drag the hands back to the hips. Rounding the spine up, shoulders will come to the ears. And then exhale, slide the shoulders down the back, You can release your bolster off to the side. We will be using it again, so not too far. And your block back to the top of the mat. And I've got props everywhere here, so let me get rid of this yoga wheel. We don't need that today. We're going to come onto hands and knees. Just a couple of quick circles up and around the wrist, just to make sure we get a good stretch in for them today. Gently pressing around and back and forth. And then moving to the top of each hand and circling around, shaking it out. Switching sides, circling around and shaking it out. Back in table, inhale through cow. Exhale, round to cat. Inhale. And exhale, really pull the navel up and in. One more time, breathe in for the length. Exhale, press the shoulder blades up. Inhale to table, tuck the toes, walk the hands a step or two in front. Take a breath in. Exhale, keep the knees bent, lift the hips up and back for down dog. And we're keeping the knees bent, heels lifted, so the belly presses toward the thighs, and we're able to press the mat away through the palms of the hands. So really think about just this big lift through the tailbone, length through the spine, as the shoulder blades plug into the back, crown of the head reaches toward the floor. And then we can begin to pedal out the feet. Really moving slowly here, guys. And then find stillness. Heels can be slightly lifted, knees can be slightly bent. Make sure we're not gripping the fingertips, but pressing into the palm of the hands. We're going to take 5 big breaths here. Inhale, look forward. Soft bend to the knees. Exhale, pick up the right foot and step it forward between the hands. Ground the left knee for the low lunge. And we're going to scoot those right toes forward just a little bit because I really want this emphasis to be on stretching out the top of this left leg. So we're slightly leaning forward. And doing this is going to cause the hips to slightly unsquare. You'll notice the right hip is going to pull forward, and we're going to adjust that in just a moment, but I want the stretch to come to the top of this left thigh. So just breathing here. Now I want you to think about squaring off those hips, and we can do that by just slightly pulling the right hip back, tucking the low belly in, and maybe coming to fingertips or hands to the blocks to begin lifting the torso off of that right thigh. Engage the glutes, not clenching because that'll hurt the low back, but feel those lower parts of the bum turn on to support you. Feel that right foot really rooting down into the mat. On an inhale, you can either bring hands to the right thigh, hands to the hips, or gently extending the arms all the way up to frame the ears. Relax the shoulders down. We're going to take 10 big breaths right here. Really breathing into the most intense sensation you feel, wherever that may be. So we want that slight engagement in through the booty and into the belly. But notice if you're clenching the shoulders or through the face, we want to relax the upper body. The strength is coming from below right now. Keep pulling that right hip slightly back. It's a very minuscule movement. Two more breaths. Inhale. Exhale with control. Bring the hands down to frame the right foot. And we're going to scoot that right foot back. So slowly shift your weight back just a little bit. Pull the foot between the hands and then bring the right knee forward over the ankle. Tuck the left toes. Inhale, lift the knee. Runner's lunge. Exhale, plant the hands. Downward facing dog. 3 big breaths here. Inhale, look to the hands, soft bend to the knees. Exhale, pick up that left foot. Guide it or plant it between the hands and ground the right knee for the low lunge. Scooting those left toes forward, slightly lean forward to bring the stretch to the top of the right thigh. It's okay for the hips to be slightly off balance right now. We're just stretching out that right leg. Slowly begin to adjust the hips. Pull the left hip back, right hip slightly forward. Squeeze gently into the bum. Low belly pulls in. We can come to fingertips to begin lifting the torso or hands under the blocks. Once you've been able to square off the hips, root that left foot down. And we'll bring the hands up, either hands to the thigh, the hips, or all the way up to frame the ears. The low body is engaged from the navel all the way down. And the upper body is relaxed through the shoulders, through the face, through the heart. Finding the breath. And breathe into where you feel the most intense sensation. If you feel any pain, please move into a different position slowly and carefully. Left hip continues to adjust slightly backward. Two more breaths. Inhale. With control, exhale, hands coming down. Lean forward slightly. And then shift your weight back to scoot the left foot back between the hands. Bring the left knee over the ankle. Tuck the right toes. Inhale, lift the knee, plant the hands, exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. We are going to be moving from this position into pigeon. And again, if you do not feel as though this is going to resonate with your practice today, I invite you to come to lie flat on the back and come into the figure 4 legs that we started class with. We'll be starting on the right side. Look back at the feet on an inhale, right leg rises. Exhale, bend the knee. Shift your weight forward. And as the right knee comes forward, right ankle comes behind the left wrist. Gently lower the right knee down. We can wedge a block or a pillow underneath that right hip. As we begin to extend the left leg back, we can always remove the block later. Carefully shift your weight. This is a posture that everyone rushes into, myself included. So really allow yourself in this first moment to settle into it. This is the most important part, because as we release ourselves down, of course, we'll be able to release into the posture. But when we first come into it is where we can make the most progress. So even your weight out between the legs. Maybe that means pulling the right hip back a little bit. And feel your weight just start to settle down into the hips. We want a little bit of engagement into the bum here as we begin to settle down, so we can protect this low back as we stay lifted. And if you have a bolster, pillow or cushion, or even a block, we're going to bring it in front of us. Now, many of us have the capacity to just relax straight down, but we want to ease our way into it today. So we probably spent enough time up right now that we're starting to feel the low body make bigger connection to the mat. So my hands are framing my bolster. I'm going to slowly start to walk them forward, tucking the bolster in close to my navel. And once my low ribs start to relax down here, I'll just start to take a softer bend to my elbows. So I'm not walking forward anymore. I'm just bending into the arms to begin releasing the chest onto the bolster. I'm doing this so slowly because I'm really thinking about the sensation in my lower back, especially on the right side where we're opening that hip. If you're able to, maybe come down onto the forearms, either on the mat or maybe on the bolster or pillow itself. Again, we're going to take about 10 big breaths here. I want to give you another chance before we start those big breaths to really ground yourself down and find that position for you to breathe. And maybe that's coming back to an upright position. Maybe that you've had enough for here and now and want to come onto the back. Whatever it's going to look like for you, we're going to start those 10 breaths right now. Directing the first few rounds into the area where you feel the most sensation. Finding release from tension, from any clenching, or just any residual energy that might be congregating or amassing in a certain area, and allow it to just let go. And this can be in the mind as well. Two more rounds of breath, coming out at any point if you need to. And as we get ready to lift, sliding the hands underneath the shoulders, use the strength of the arms and your core, your belly pulling up and in to lift the torso. Slightly move whatever prop you're using out of the way. Tuck the left toes underneath. We're going to be moving in slow motion here. Lift the left knee and gently tuck the right leg up into the chest as we shift the weight back. Extend slightly through that right leg and just circle out the hip a couple of times, very slowly. And then come down to down dog, 3 big breaths. Getting ready to move into the opposite side. On an inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, bend the knee, and as the weight shifts forward, left ankle comes behind the right wrist. Gently lower the left knee down. This is where we can wedge the block under the left hip as we straighten the right leg back. We can always remove the block and come down gently. Really take your time here. Ease your way into it. Allow the low body to settle. Give yourself the space to find balance, to sit with the sensation and know and observe when you need to adjust. Again, while we're in this upright position, we have a very gentle squeeze into the bum to help these low back muscles. This is a very slight back bend here. And as we make these minute adjustments, you can start to bring your pillow, bolster, or block in front, framing it with your hands. And then beginning to pull, I'm going to pull mine in a little bit closer to the navel and beginning to walk the hands forward just a step or two. And then finding the bend to the elbows, allowing this bend to guide you forward and begin resting the chest down. Elbows can come up to the bolster or framing it on the mat. We're going down in increments here. We're not starting our deep, deep breaths just yet because we're really just acquainting ourselves with the sensation of these muscles opening up and allowing us to just settle into them. Notice if there are any smaller adjustments you need to make between weight on left and right sides. And then begin to slowly find that position that you would like to hold for the next 10 rounds of breath. And again, if at any moment it gets too intense, gently, slowly come out and find a more comfortable position. And that might be back on your back. So starting our 10 big breaths right now. Two more rounds. Begin to slide the hands under the shoulders. Using the strength of the arms, inhale to lift the torso. Press the pillow, bolster, or block out of your way. Tuck those right toes. And this is slow motion here. Lift that right knee. Slowly tuck the left knee into the chest. Shift your weight back. Maybe find a gentle extension through that left leg as we slowly circle it out. Come back to down dog. 3 big breaths. Ground the knees, coming to table. And we're going to be getting ready to wind down here. So as we come down onto our backs, we're going to take a supported bridge. And then I'm going to give you a few options for Shavasana if you would like to use some of these props. And I'll just demonstrate those really quick. If you have 2 blocks and a bolster, one of my favorite ways to spend Shavasana is to bring the blocks into an L shape. Rest the bolster here, base of the spine, head comes up here with the legs extended. You can also just use the bolster flat on the mat to relax your back across or along, or we can take the bolster horizontally, place it underneath the knees. That's going to give a little bit of support to the legs, almost like a slight inversion, and give a lot of relief to the low back. So just a few options for you. For now, have a block nearby as we get ready to wind down, and we'll come into our half boat position. Seated in the center of the mat, knees bent, arms out to the side. Take a big breath in. Exhale, feel the belly pull way back as we wind down, nice and slow. Releasing the spine, and then the head, the arms and the legs. Take a few breaths here, just neutralizing to the mat. And then we'll bend the knees, planting the feet about hip distance. Find your block, and you'll notice there's 3 settings: flat, medium, and tall. We're going to be wedging this underneath our sacrum area, so the flattest part of our tailbone, low back, as we come up into our supported bridge. So take a moment to adjust yourself, walk the shoulders down a little bit, and then exhale, flatten the low back to the floor. Squeeze the bum as we inhale, lifting the hips, pressing into the feet, and sliding that block, whatever position, right underneath on that flat tailbone area. And keeping the feet grounded, but relax the legs slightly. We really just want to give in to this posture. Maybe walk the shoulders down. Try not to squeeze them together under the back, but just find some length in the neck. I'm going to place my palms to face the ceiling. And we'll breathe here. About 5 more big breaths. We're not letting the knees buckle out to the side, so we're still containing a little bit of control over the legs, but mostly trying to soften. Last round of breath. As we get ready to lift up, plant your feet down, squeeze the bum, inhale to lift the hips off the block, slide it out from under, hold here just for a moment, breathe in. Exhale, begin to release the spine down nice and slow. As the tailbone reaches the mat, tuck the knees into the chest. Without lifting the tailbone, squeeze the knees in and feel that length and stretch through the low back. Rock from side to side. We can find happy baby. Rocking a little bit here as well. And bring another stretch in through the hips. Bring the soles of the feet together, keeping the knees wide. Lower the legs to the mat. And I usually end with a twist, but we're just going to end right here today. So this is one more option for Shavasana, reclined bound angle, or we can take either of the blocks underneath the knees if you'd like some support with the legs open, or allow gravity to take over. So this is one option here. Just make sure the spine is long, shoulders tucked underneath. And if you'd like to take a different option, spend a couple of breaths here, and then you can slowly begin setting up for your version of Shavasana. I'm going to hang out in this position because it feels really good on my low back for just a few more breaths. But you can begin making your way, setting up the bolster or the blocks any way you'd like. And maybe you just want to come down flat to the mat today, and that is perfectly fine. But whatever is going to feel good for you. Maybe that's legs up the wall, another really great position. And once you've found your position for Shavasana, relax the belly and soften or close the eyes. You can begin to find and connect with your natural rhythm of breath once more. And just as we began class, we'll slowly start to take control over each inhale and exhale, deepening and lengthening. Once again, finding a rhythm of deep breathing. And we'll continue with it for 5 more rounds before allowing yourself to release control of everything. And I say this a lot preparing for Shavasana, but I really would like you to challenge yourself how much you could submit to stillness and softness. I know with these online videos, it's so easy to skip Shavasana, but it's the most important part of this practice, any yoga practice. So I challenge yourself to give yourself the extra time to spend here. allow the breath to deepen again, inviting awareness back to your body and your breath. You can wiggle out the toes and the fingers. Rock your head gently from side to side. Using an inhale, reach and extend the arms up overhead. Exhale to release. And slowly float the knees into the chest. Wrapping the arms around the legs, give yourself a big hug. Thank yourself for showing up today. Only you can show up for yourself in this practice. Whenever you're ready, rolling to one side and using an inhale to come up to a seated position. We'll bring the hands to the heart and we'll end our practice with a round of Om. Taking an inhale, exhale, release all the stale air. One more breath in for Om. Thank you so much for following along with me today. I hope this practice brings you some relaxation, and I look forward to next time. Namaste.